Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another Dragon Ball figure news video. Yup, back again on Tuesday, baby. I guess we're just gonna keep it on Tuesday. I don't know. This weekend your boy just happened to be busy, so I couldn't get around to it on Sunday. So here we are with the Tuesday upload. We actually have quite a bit to go over. I was kind of surprised looking over this video. I didn't think we were going to have that much, but we actually have quite a few things to look at today. So before we get into that, I did upload a brand new figure unboxing last week. I am kind of trying something new with the thumbnail style because I noticed that I felt like these videos weren't getting as many views that had this sort of unboxing style of thumbnail. So I'm trying to kind of make it a little bit more like the news video style of thumbnail. Obviously this video kind of didn't do as well, but then again, I guess it is just Demon King Piccolo and not something as exciting as these guys, which is obviously superhero brand new stuff. So definitely go check out that video though. It was a very good time opening up this figure because man, it's a really good looking figure, and unfortunately mine was broken actually out of the box, so I did get it fixed though by the end of the video. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and take a look at what we have in store for the past 2 weeks of Dragon Ball figure news. So we did have some images and videos get posted from the Tamashii Nations World Tour. We talked about this in the last video that I did. Basically, the Tamashii Nation World Tour begun bringing Tamashii Nations figures to different locations around the world, and we got a couple of quick little videos posted basically taking a look at the event down here in New York, which was really cool. As you can see, this was literally a big pop-up booth just in the middle of Times Square, it seems, which is really cool, with obviously a bunch of different Dragon Ball displays and whatnot, and displays from other franchises as well that you can see around here. So if you are interested, definitely go pop over to the Bandai Namco YouTube channel. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can show you this in full because, again, copyright. But there's Spider-Man 2099, and I just saw like 5 seconds ago. Where did he go? Yeah, there's Metal Cooler, which we'll also get another look at him in this video. But yeah, definitely a very cool looking figure for sure. So it was awesome to see that this event finally went up, and unfortunately there was no word that the event exclusives would be going up for pre-order, like we were talking about in the last video, that this Super Saiyan Goku actually that's in the picture here, obviously this being the con exclusive one, might be getting a version that would be on Premium Bandai or something like that. I will tell you, we still don't know because a lot of the time when they do a full like convention or pop-up shop kind of run sort of thing, usually the figures pre-order goes up later. So potentially, right, like it could be at the very last location that they go to, then within the next couple days after that, we could be getting this Super Saiyan Goku up for pre-order again, the re-release of the, I think it's called Power Awakened. Regardless, it's the Namek one where his shirt is torn in half. Moving on, we did have Dragon Ball Weekly news from actual Dragon Ball for May 1st. As you can see here, there are a couple of brand new Dragon Ball shirts from, I think this is, I'm pronouncing this correctly, Uniqlo. I don't know if I am, but we also got a up-close and personal look of Metal Cooler as well in this video. Obviously, they always talk about just different stuff within the world of Dragon Ball, but we did get one of the Tamashii Nations employees talking about Metal Cooler, which was pretty cool to see. And I gotta say, I know that this guy is super expensive, and I obviously did a whole big video about him, but holy moly, he definitely looks very good in person with how shiny he is. That is really, really cool to say the least. I definitely love the look of the shine on the figure for sure. But yeah, Uniqlo, apparently, this is a store that is actually near me. I don't know if this is only a Japanese exclusive thing, but I guess they're going to be getting some Dragon Ball t-shirts, it seems. So that is pretty cool. Do we have a website here? We do. The History of Dragon Ball. Okay, well, this does say US, so yeah, and you can order all this stuff online. Yo, I have always wanted this design on a shirt. I love this piece of art. I literally have this as a live wallpaper. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so I see it's not released yet. Yeah, your boy might have to go into the store and cop that one if I'm being honest with you. But some pretty cool stuff. Oh yeah, even that art of Buu holding up the Z Fighters. That's pretty cool. But yeah, nonetheless, very cool stuff here. If you do want to pre-order basically Metal Cooler, you still can. Obviously, this was just talking about, I think they mentioned that this Ichiban Kuji actually did go live within the last 2 weeks, and we will be seeing some IRL images of these guys as well within this video, so definitely stick around for that. We also do have the Gigantic Series Gohan Beast. Now, we did take a look at this guy last time. We took a look at his images. However, the one image that we did not have was this one. This is the one that I wanted to show, even though obviously the image is really small. Let me see if actually is there. Oh, great, because I zoomed into the image, it decided to zoom into the whole page. Does it have an actual website here? No, okay, it's just the images. Regardless, you can tell, right, how big Gohan is compared to this human being, right? Even though obviously this image is very low quality, 58 centimeters. This is a full-grown man holding this figure. Holy cow, that thing is huge. That thing is giant. I really wanted to like get the point across with calling this a Gigantic Series figure, because I think until you see an image like this, you really don't understand how big this thing is. This thing is huge, like way bigger than an Ichiban Kuji figure. Like, this thing is huge. Again, we did talk about this guy in the last video. Personally, I don't think his face looks that good. He just looks a little silly. His expression just looks a little bit silly. You can see us talk more about him in the last video if you would like to see more about him. By the way, somebody described this. Oh wait, no, hold on. We can look at it on Big Bad Toy Store, can't we? This figure will run. Okay, so no, it doesn't seem to have a pre-order yet. I was gonna say when we get that pre-order page, though, we should have bigger images of this guy. But somebody described this guy's hair as like an asparagus, and especially considering this photo and definitely the front-facing one, I 100% think that's a great description, right? You can see that it's a little bit different from the side here, but dang, that top head spike is really big. Like, I know Gohan Beast hair is ridiculously big, but that is kind of like almost too big, if I'm being honest with you. By the way, for the price of this guy, holy cow, this guy is going to be $269.99. Wow. That is a lot, to say the least. Again, right, if you are interested in this type of figure, then I can definitely see the appeal. And I mean, considering how big he is, I understand them charging that price, but at the same time, like, yikes. That's a lot. By the way, he is up on Big Bad Toy Store. I actually just went and checked just to see, because I figured if that price was there, then it had to be there. Yeah, here we can see more up-close images of the boy. But that is just so ridiculous for the price, and especially considering, like, yeah, this shot especially, I don't know, I just think his face does not look that great. It looks a little silly to me. It looks a little flat. I don't know. It's definitely not the best looking. Oh, that's cool. Thanks, honey. It's definitely not the best looking Gohan Beast, but apparently pre-orders are sold out. I don't know if that's because that the pre-order's like not available yet, and it just says that because, you know, the pre-order hasn't actually, you know, gone up yet, and that's just the thing that displays there, or if that's because it's already been sold out. But yeah, quite a hefty price on this guy for sure. This is a figure that is made by this company Plex, by the way. We've talked about them before. They make other stuff too, but they make the Sophobi line of these Dragon Ball figures with these chibi ones. We've taken a look at these in a couple videos before, and they also make the Gigantic Series line. Funny enough, there isn't. Oh, Turles is there, yeah. This is probably the best looking Gigantic Series figure that we've ever taken a look at on this channel. I think Turles actually does look really good, but obviously you'd have to be a huge Turles fan to justify buying something this expensive of Turles. Nonetheless, though, that is the boy Gigantic Series Gohan Beast. We did also have pre-orders on a Big Bad Toy Store go up for the History Box Gohan, the DXF Goten, the Solid Edgeworks Piccolo B, and the A, and of course, the DXF Beelzebub, which if you are confused why this is here, this is because this is another Toriyama-made property, Sandland, that Toei is producing a movie for right now. which is pretty cool. But nonetheless, you can pick up all of these guys for the standard $26.99 price tag, and they're all going to be coming out in October. We took a look at these guys in the last couple videos in a lot of detail, so I'm not going to go through all the images of them here. But if you'd like to pre-order them, Big Bad Toy Store is definitely a great place to do that, and very reputable as well. We did have the Dragon Ball Arise Frieza. I think we did take like one look at him in the last video, but it wasn't that much information on him. We can actually take a look at him on Big Bad Toy Store. You can see some more images of the guy here. I don't know. He looks okay to me, right? He kind of just looks like a standard sort of Ichiban Kuji figure, even though obviously this is another Plex made figure, because the Arise line is another thing that Plex makes. But holy... that price tag is ridiculous. The Plex company, which I think I found out recently actually that it's also just owned by Bandai. It's like a subsidiary of Bandai. I think that's the correct term. So, you know, Bandai greed going crazy. But this is sort of like these hype beast type of figures is the way that I like to describe stuff that's made by Plex, especially the Dragon Ball Arise line and the Sofobi line, because they're just overpriced for no good reason, really. I mean, this figure is only about a foot tall, right? As you can see, 11.81 inches, which is like, you know, around the size of a bigger Ichiban Kuji figure. So having to pay that much for a figure that looks about that quality, I'm good. I'm good, Chi. I'm chilling on that. If you're into it though, more power to you, to say the least. Okay, so we did have a couple of small things here. I figured I would just mention these, just because this is pretty cool. You can actually pre-order these on Big Bad Toy Store as well. If you're interested, looks like this one's actually sold out, unless it's just not available for pre-order yet. A Nimbus doormat, a Kame House doormat, and some aprons with the Turtle School symbol and the Capsule Corp logo, as well as a Dabura cookie baking mold and a Majin Buu cookie baking mold. That is so awesome. I might actually have to get those, as well as a Goku one and a Frieza one, which is pretty cool. Low-key, I might have to get the Buu or the Dabura cookie, because that's just so cool that, like, I always love when you can make stuff from a show come to life. I think that's awesome. I just like showing stuff like this, even though it's not necessarily figures. It's still merch, and it's still pretty cool. We also did have an interesting collab with this company called Graphy. 21 assorted items, including t-shirts, polos, button-down shirts, and many other accessories. Apparently, this is only a thing in Japan. I'm not sure why there aren't any images, so we'll have to see if we can find this somewhere else. Okay, I actually did find a website for this. I'm not sure why this is a Crunchyroll Germany, I think, website. But nonetheless, though, this is pretty cool. Basically just some different various Dragon Ball items, as you can see here. Dragon Ball hats, Dragon Ball shirts. Yo, the full fit? That is sick that the pants are there. Oh, that's so cool with Goku and Krillin carrying the milk. That's awesome. Look at all the little guys there, bro. I see Poir there, Chaozu. That's so cool. Very interesting stuff. Obviously, again, this is more like fashion-esque Dragon Ball items rather than just like a t-shirt with a Dragon Ball character on it. This is certainly more like, I don't know if I would consider this hype beast. I would definitely consider this more just like high-end fashion kind of quote-unquote sort of thing. But still very interesting to cover, because it's always interesting to see, you know, how far Dragon Ball reaches in terms of merchandise these days. Like, you would have never thought a couple years ago that Dragon Ball would be making stuff like that. Cheetah seasoning, definitely not anything relevant to what you need to look at. That has been a thing for a while, but still pretty funny. Okay, so Dragon Ball weekly news for May 8th. Nothing too crazy, except they did cover more in detail on this one. That obviously this was the Goku and Piccolo Day one. But of course, you can see that we actually talked about this one in the last one. In terms of what they were covering here. Basically, they covered the fact that they are going to be having a poll where Goku's famous quotes, right, will be made into merchandise, right? Whether that be figures or posters or what have you, I don't think it's known yet. But Goku's #1 quote poll is going to be held, and I believe was held for Goku Day as well. The Pick Collection, that's so funny for Piccolo. We took a look at this website last time, where obviously the top 5 best Piccolo moments that were voted on were going to be made into merch in the future. Not anytime soon, unfortunately, because usually they take a while to do this kind of thing. But I believe that we don't know the winner yet, because you can still vote. Yeah. I think we were taking a look at this last time, and we didn't see all the different options. It was kind of like that random thing, right? But now we can actually see all of the options here that you can actually choose from to have these different Piccolo moments represented in upcoming merchandise and other Dragon Ball mediums and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. I know that there are certainly some that people are going to be voting for more than others. It's kind of funny that some of these are like very just simple ones. Like some of these are very big moments in Dragon Ball, and some of these are also very tiny. So it would be cool if we got figures of all of these. Could you imagine a figure of this scene specifically? Dude, that would be so sick. But yeah, this will be really cool depending on what kind of merch we actually get from this. It'd be really cool to honestly get any of these as figures. Bro, this one, I know for a fact this is the one that I'm tweeting. Yeah, we're popping that one out on the Twitter timeline right now, bro. Yeah, that one is definitely a must, for sure. Nonetheless, though, very, very cool. You can definitely go vote on this yourself. I mean, literally, it seems like you just make a tweet about the one that you want. So that is pretty cool. Yeah, this just takes you to the different sections of the page. And it's just telling you about some different items that were released. I guess. I'm not sure what this is. I think this might be a contest or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what this section of the page is. Unfortunately, your boy does not speak Japanese. But I digress. This is indeed what this section is, voting on the different Piccolo scenes that you would like to see be merch in the future. So pretty cool. Definitely go do this yourself, because obviously this is not limited to, you know, people in Japan. You can go and do this even though the website is in Japanese. Obviously, we'll be making a Japanese tweet, but still pretty cool nonetheless. So we did get this, which is very interesting. We will also be taking a look at this a little bit later, because I know Baggy posted images of this. But this is a, oh boy, another Plex figure. Oh geez, we've seen a lot of them today. Goku in all of his Super Saiyan forms. Where's Super Saiyan 2? I swear, they always shaft Super Saiyan 2. I don't know why they always shaft Super Saiyan 2, but they always shaft it every single time. I digress. This is a... what is the name of this line? I always don't want to pronounce it improperly, because I feel like if I do, YouTube might get mad at me. But it's the Draw Cap. Very sus to say, even though it's not, I guess, too terrible of a word. But, you know, still. This is a pretty cool figure, although I do think it is very small. There is no pre-order information at the moment. And again, we will see some figures, or some more images rather, of this figure later. But I was glad that I clicked on this, or I am, I guess. Yeah, past me is glad. The future me is seeing this information. Thank you, brain. Plex is the company that made this, because I definitely would have not known that unless I clicked on that page. Figpin is getting some new Figpins, which is interesting. But I believe that is actually everything that we have to cover for today. Obviously, we already looked at these, and we looked at these pre-orders last time, because in terms of the new Dragon Ball news, there wasn't really anything in terms of figures this time around, basically just talking about the Xenoverse 2 DLC, and the fact that there's going to be 3 Super Dragon Ball Heroes. There we go. Bro, those titles are so confusing if they both have super in there. Superhero, no less, or heroes, I guess. 3 cards going to be coming in that V-Jump. But anyhow, that is it for DBZFigures.com. We are now moving on to Baggy Saiyan's Twitter. There is a lot of stuff that we have to take a look at. Thank you, DBZ Figures, as always, by the way, links in the description. We have a lot of stuff to take a look at on Baggy's Twitter. For one, upcoming figures on the schedule. We have a brand new Ichiban Kuji to take a look at, and we have a lot of IRL images of a bunch of the Gohan Beast figures and other stuff we've been taking a look at for a while now. So let's go ahead and take a look at the upcoming schedule for October. As you can see here, we are going to be getting a Matchmaker's Gohan versus Super Vegito. That is so cool. I am really, really excited for this. I quite like the Matchmakers line a lot. It is definitely one of my favorite modern figure lines. The figures are usually pretty good from it, and obviously the picks are always pretty good with these characters facing off. This is going to be awesome, especially considering Gohan. I think in my whole time of collecting figures, the, many years that I've been doing it now, it feels, I don't think I've ever seen a new Gohan figure, maybe besides like a UDM keychain or something like that. So this is really exciting to say the least. It'll be interesting to see as well what Vegito they pick for this, because there are quite a lot of Vegito poses and scenes from the anime already represented in figure form. Obviously, we did recently get the GX Materia Vegito with the Spirit Sword, right? The Keyblade, as it were. I've been playing Kingdom Hearts. I'm sorry, I had to make the joke. But nonetheless, very, very cool. Definitely excited for that one. And a brand new GX Materia Frieza. As you can see, GX Materia Frieza 2. That is a Dragon Ball Z one, though I believe the whole GX Materia line is technically called Dragon Ball Z. Although, as far as I can remember, I don't think we've had a Super GX Materia figure yet. So, I mean, it makes sense. But I do kind of wonder what figure this is going to be. Like, what Frieza form, right? Because they already did Final Form Frieza. Would be cool if this guy was Pod Frieza, right, with the big ball that he destroys Planet Vegeta with. That would definitely be a figure that would be cool. They could do full Power Frieza, right, with the discs that he throws, the pizzas, as it were, right? That could definitely be a pretty cool one. I don't remember the scenes of third form Frieza and second form Frieza, using Ki Blast as much. I mean, I guess second form Frieza does do the rapid fire death beam. So I don't know, kind of interesting to see what they're going to do for that one, because obviously for the GX Materia line, they always do a lot of Ki Blast effects. So that'll be cool to see what Frieza form they pick for that. This was kind of funny that Baggy predicted this with his tweet there, but we have November's figures as well. For Blood of Saiyans, we are getting, I don't even know how to say that Roman numeral. Yeah, Roman numeral, I think that's 16? Pretty sure that's 16, regardless, though, another Blood of Saiyan special figure. So it'll be interesting to see what that is, because there's obviously no name attached to that yet. A Dragon Ball Super Shinron plush that is apparently, I don't know why it says 2024, but it's coming out November. I don't know. Very interesting. Another History Box figure, which we don't know what that is going to be, so we'll have to see. A Majin Vegeta Clear Rise figure, which is quite interesting. I swear, no, that was Super Vegeta that got a Clear Rise figure. I was going to say, I swear Majin Vegeta got a Clear Rise figure already. But no, I think that was the Armor Vegeta for Super Vegeta. So that'll be interesting to see what pose they pick for that Majin Vegeta. And we are getting another Solid Edgeworks figure, a superhero figure for Solid Edgeworks, the Departure 14. So that'll also be interesting to see what they decide to make that figure from Superhero. That will be pretty cool. And we also have the December lineup. And oh boy, I am very excited for this one, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, we have Metal Cooler releasing in December. We've obviously talked plenty about him on this channel. We have the Dragon Ball Z Blood of Saiyan Special Broly. By the way, that is Dragon Ball Z, so I assume that that is going to be Z Broly himself. That will be really, really cool to see what that one ends up looking like. I suppose it could also be like DBS Broly, because the naming on figures is never consistent with them calling, like, even if they release a character from Dragon Ball Super, sometimes they just call it Dragon Ball Z, because I guess it's just more profitable with the brand. But I'm going to assume for the moment that this is going to be a Z Broly, which is cool, because I don't think we've gotten that many Z Broly figures recently. The only one that I can remember is the Ichiban Kuji one, which I actually have, the King Cluster one. Fantastic Broly figure. The same pose as a Tech LR Broly's transformed art, if you're familiar with that. But yeah, very cool. And as you can see, more matchmakers on the way. We're going to be getting a Vegeta Gallic Gun versus Goku Kaioken, assuming that will be Kamehameha, of course. That is pretty cool. I will love if it's not just their poses doing it, right? but it's also actually effects on there. I don't know if they will do that. Because obviously the Matchmakers line isn't really known for that. And we do have Vegeta doing the Gallic Gun already from the GX Material line. So it'll be interesting to see. I do have quite a few Kaioken Goku figures already. So hopefully they make them look really good. We'll have to see, though. That might be something cool that you could set them up with Vegeta like up on a pedestal and Goku on the ground and they're firing at each other. And out of left field, definitely the most interesting release out of all of these for sure. Intriguing, one might say. The GX Materia Raccoon? Yeah, kind of an interesting choice if I'm being honest with you. GX Materia Raccoon is going to be coming in December. I do kind of wonder if this means that we will be getting the entire Ginyu Force in GX Materia form, because it's kind of funny that Raccoon is the first member of the Ginyu Force to get a GX Materia figure. Just seems kind of weird, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm all for it. I like Raccoon. I like the Ginyu Force. But it's just weird. So hopefully this means we'll get the whole Ginyu Force as GX Materia figures. That would definitely be really cool. Not to mention, maybe Frieza is kind of like an omen for that, where he's going to be like, you know, the Frieza that's kind of over the Ginyu Force. I don't know. We'll have to see what becomes of that. But ironically enough, this does kind of, you know, more go to show evidence towards the fact of what me and Baggy talk about a lot in these videos, where a lot of the time they come out with an Ichiban Kuji version of a character that really hasn't had any figure representation recently, and it gets overpriced to heck because it's an Ichiban Kuji figure, and then they release a prize figure version of it after a bunch of people have already purchased the Kuji version, and the prize figure version is way cheaper. They did this with Kid Buu recently as a huge example, and funny enough, we're going to see Kid Buu again in this video with a different figure. But nonetheless, yeah, very interesting. So it'll be curious to see if they do that with some more Ichiban Kuji figures that we have gotten recently. But that is definitely, you know, moving along that pattern that we've been seeing as of recent. So very cool. Definitely very exciting stuff for the schedule. I will be very curious to see what else, you know, we have coming up after December in January, because obviously we now know the entire figure schedule for the rest of the year, but it'll be cool to see when this stuff comes out what it actually looks like. Interesting thing to note that Baggy says here, this also means we haven't had a non-superhero related DBS figure for the entire calendar year. Last one was Solid Edgeworks Goku Black in 2022 of October. Very, very interesting. Yes, the year of DBZ continues along. We've been getting a ton of Dragon Ball Z figures this year, which I am definitely all for. Probably, if you remember, the Solid Edgeworks Goku Black is the one where he has his hands out. You know, it's kind of like the pose that I was always talking about. You could display him, like, looking in front of the burned city, right, with, like, his back to you, looking over, like, the city on fire. But yeah, pretty cool stuff there. As well, something else interesting to note here. If we scroll up just a little bit, Baggy actually made the exact same tweet that I was talking about. Yes, the fact that they make the Ichiban Kuji figure right here is that Raccoon figure that I was talking about before, and then they make it into a prize figure later of that character. Obviously with Super Buu, that's a little bit different because this is Super Buu and then this will be Buuhan, right? You know, Gohan absorbed. So it's a little bit different, I guess, but I understand what Baggy's going for, and there's definitely a lot more examples of this besides Super Buu. But yeah, very kind of funny that Baggy tweeted this right after I said it. In terms of when we'll get to see those figures that we were just talking about on the schedule, the upcoming prize fair is scheduled for May 24th, and will show off the October to December stuff, but it is subject to photo bans, and the last two prize fairs, all of Dragon Ball was photo banned. Why? We don't know. But that's just the way that they've been doing it recently. So, if it's not, you know, and we eventually get some pictures from that, we may actually get to see some in-person pictures of it. But, thankfully, as you can see, as Baggy talks about here, the October production images, at least, right, will be revealed the week before. So, if anything, we will at least get to see the October stuff a little bit ahead of time, and then we'll have to wait probably a little bit for the November and December releases. We did have something else a little interesting here. As you can see, there is a Dragon Ball Ichiban Kuji scheduled for the September, rather, my bad. I had the ember in my mind, I guess. Very, very interesting to see what this will be. Obviously, there is kind of no information about this right now. Because as you can see, it literally just says Ichiban Kuji Dragon Ball Clash Battle Betting Space. So we don't know what characters will be in here, right? I'm assuming this is going to be Dragon Ball-esque stuff because it does say Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super. But we'll see. They have been releasing cool figures with the Dragon Ball Ichiban Kujis, but obviously, as of late, the Ichiban Kuji prices have been kind of ridiculous. The last one did give us a little hope, because the actual Dragon Ball Ichiban Kuji that we got semi-recently pre-orders for was kind of a lower price than usual. So we'll have to see. It'll be very interesting to see what they charge for that Ichiban show, which is obviously the overseas version of the Ichiban Kuji. I just always call it Ichiban Kuji because it's just kind of what my brain is programmed to do. But anyhow, yeah, the other one is just the Gohan Beast figure art zero figure that we've been taking a look at if you're just curious about what that says right there. The other little thing that we have here, right, so this was an interesting thing to note. Obviously, the November Superhero Edgeworks figure, the Solid Edgeworks figure, right, they did not actually they did not actually announce, rather, I mean, I guess technically Baggy didn't tweet it, but he doesn't know, right? It does not have a character name attached to it yet. So, obviously, it is kind of expected to be Ultimate and Gohan Beast, because then, obviously, you know, they could probably easily do two different versions of him, right? And just literally change the hair because obviously for the Solid Edgeworks figure, they love to do two different versions of the same figure. So that would probably make sense. Otherwise, you know, maybe like Gamma 1 and 2. Again, Baggy does note that Orange Piccolo is probably not likely because, you know, I mean, if they did Piccolo Awaken, he's completely different in terms of body build than Orange Piccolo. So we'll have to see what that figure ends up becoming. But I am kind of, you know, thinking that it'll probably be Gohan Beast and Orange Piccolo. So hopefully they do something unique with it, because obviously at this point we have plenty of figures of just Gohan Beast standing there, right? I think we want some more interesting stuff of him for sure. I think we did talk about these in a time before, so I just wanted to show them real quick. August DBS coasters. Unfortunately, I will say, yeah, I don't think the art looks too great on these. Obviously, these are sort of like chibi-esque, but really, I think the base Goku is the only art that I actually kind of like on these. Something about the eyes on this one, and MUI looks a little weird here. I don't know. I mean, they're not the worst for sure. They are just small little things, but yeah, something about the art on these, I don't know, it kind of looks like they had the bad promo artist try and do the wafer sticker art style and just didn't really work out. So we do have some HD images here of the September prize figures. Obviously here we have the History Box Gohan, which I'm definitely going to be copping. We have the Solid Edgeworks Piccolos, which is really cool. And of course, the Goten. Definitely excited for all of this stuff, for sure. Something else interesting to note about the upcoming Super Vegito and Buuhan is that it is noted as a versus figure, just like in the title of Goku and Oob, which probably means that they are clashing. Goku and Vegeta for December do not have the versus moniker. Obviously, for the Matchmakers one, it's going to be the Galacon versus the Kamehameha Kaioken. So it's probably going to be based off of this scene, right? And they aren't actually clashing fists. Hence, there is no versus in the title of that one. So probably for Buu and Vegito, it'll be something like this, where obviously they're like, you know, clashing fists. So that'll be pretty cool to see what that actually ends up looking like. Unfortunately, we don't have images for these yet, but apparently the next Limit Breaker figure is going to be Gohan Beast, which is pretty cool. These are like the foot-tall figures that are made by the same people who do Dragon Stars, so it'll be interesting to see what he looks like. I think I've actually seen somebody post that somewhere. I'm sure if they have, Baggy will be posting it later, but that is pretty cool. The next Power-Up pack is going to be Super Saiyan Gotenks. Again, this is for Dragon Stars, so Gotenks will have some extra effects in the box with the Gotenks figure, which will be pretty cool. And apparently the next Dragon Stars figure release is going to be Super Buu, so that will be pretty cool. Obviously, the only other really like Super Buu of that size is the SH Figure Arts one, and I know he's pretty expensive, so that will be pretty cool to see. And the wave before that one is Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Majin Vegeta. I believe that's not a double pack. I think they're separate for that one. We also did have a couple of in-person images at the Tamashii Nation's booth of the Figuart Zero Gohan Beast. Obviously, this is from the side here. I will say I do see a little bend, unless that's just my eyes playing tricks on me. I swear that little beam right there off of the Ki Blast is kind of bending a little bit, so that is worrying me a little bit, I'm not going to lie. But I will say he definitely looks very, very good, if I do say so myself. I think that face is very nice. They definitely did opt for silver paint, by the way. That definitely wasn't some kind of lighting optical illusion. You can see on his eyebrows that they are very shiny, and as well on his hair. It's kind of an interesting choice, because I feel like Gohan Beast doesn't really have silver hair. It's more like white-ish, you know? But I think it's just kind of to make the figure pop a little bit more. It almost kind of reminds me of like a Blood of Saiyans figure, to be honest with you. But I still think it works for the figure. I still think it looks pretty cool for sure. We do have, there we go, the Gohan Beast Ichiban Kuji released on the 5th. And we definitely have some very interesting prices to go over for these guys, because I know Baggy tweeted about the market value of these guys in Japan after they came out. Although the May prize fair is supposed to show off prize fair subject to photo bans from October to December. Sometimes September stuff is also shown, like in 2019. So we may get to see the History Box Gohan Solid Edgeworks Piccolo prototypes. That will be pretty cool. Obviously, we have seen a bunch of production images of these guys already, but it'll be cool to see if we actually get them like IRL. All right, here we go. So we're actually going to get to take a look at some in-person pictures of the Ichiban Kuji that features Gohan Beast. Thank you to this individual Twitter user. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your username because I have no idea, but thank you. Obviously, Baggy retweeted these. We have Super Buu right here. I will say he definitely does look pretty cool. I definitely like the look of this guy. It is a little bit of a shame that you can see that huge crease in the neck. My gosh. It is not really doing him any favors, because a lot of the time when figures have a little bit of a line like that, the way that their face is kind of angled on the figure makes it so that you can't really see that line. But because Super Buu kind of has his head up like that and he's looking down at the enemy, you can definitely see the line on my boy. Holy! That is pretty obvious for sure. But nonetheless, still pretty good looking figure, I will say. I do think my only complaint with this guy is that the paint does look kind of cheap. I don't know what it is about him, but it's like he's too shiny almost. Like, it's not as noticeable on the front. He looks a lot more like of a matte finish there. But here, and then especially like on the back, it looks like my boy's kind of greased up. I don't know. It definitely is a bit strange, right? Like, it definitely looks a little too shiny. But I think overall he looks good. I mean, the sculpt on the figure is certainly fantastic, right? I mean, I guess besides the line in his throat. But other than that, right? The figure looks great. Definitely a very, very good representation of Super Buu. Very cool. I definitely want to pick this guy up at some point if I can find him for a little bit of a lesser price. We did have Gohan Beast himself, and yeah, I definitely think after looking at after this one, right, I think that definitely it's not as bad as the production image made it seem, right? Definitely the face looks better than that second one that we saw, because I remember in the beginning I was like, oh, that looks really good, and then we saw the second production image and the face was like, ugh. So I think on the final version, let's take a little bit of a close-up look here, right? It's kind of interesting because from certain angles it certainly looks a little weird, right? Like this angle, I feel like there's too much forehead. His eyes aren't big enough, right? I think that his eyes should also be a little bit farther up his head. It's also kind of unfortunate to see that you can see there's a little nick on the hair, and whatever the heck this is, if that's a hair or a line on the paint. It also looks like cheap paint, like very bubbly and like blotchy kind of on the hair here. It just kind of looks like that to me in terms of the paint quality. But I mean, obviously the rest of the sculpt looks good. Definitely, though, the face, like from this angle, looks a little bit weird. However, this one looks much better. It's still not perfect, but it definitely looks a lot better than the other one. Also, very weird, on this person's particular copy of the figure, you can see that the dark line around one of the eyes is a lot more colored in than the line around this one, and that's not just the angle, right? You can clearly see that it's just not as dark. Very interesting. It's also weird that he's not, like, looking at the Masenko? Am I wrong on that? Like, it kind of doesn't look like he's looking in the direction of where his fingers are. I do remember that the eyes were different for the Masenko one and the regular one, because this is the last one prize version, which is obviously with the two fingers together rather than his hand out flat, which was the prize A. And I think this was the one that was supposed to look forward, but it still kind of looks like he's, like, looking at the ground or something like that. Nonetheless, from the side, it definitely looks pretty good. I think, funny enough, this might be the best angle for that face. But overall, I mean, he's definitely okay, right? I think that he's unfortunately not as good as I was hoping that he would be, or that the original production images showed. The hair is definitely very big. It's funny that he says, I don't think that it actually means that the hair is terrible. I'm pretty sure that's just kind of Google Translate being funny. But yeah, holy cow, there is a lot of hair on that bad boy. I would try and get this figure if it was easier to import, and obviously because this is a last prize figure, and the prize A1 is the flat hand, and of course you would much rather have the Masenko, right, for the fingers, right? It's just kind of a shame how everything went down with this figure, but I think he's just okay, unfortunately, with how he came out. Thankfully, though, we do have plenty of other Gohan Beast figures to look forward to, so it's not a huge detriment that this guy didn't turn out too crazy. We do have Orange Piccolo himself. Let's take a little bit of a deeper dive on this guy, right? So, in terms of, like, overall bulkiness, I'd say he looks pretty good. There he is next to the Gohan Beast that we just took a look at. Oh, hey, it's on top of the Mario manga. I was kind of wondering what this was being taken picture on. That's cool. Yeah, so he looks good overall, right? He's very bulky. His arms are huge. I will say, though, with his head, funny enough, by the way, this is exactly what I was talking about. I'm going to open that image before we look at his face. What I was talking about with Super Buu, right? Like, Piccolo has this line right here that where his head attaches. When you're looking at it from the front, you literally can't see it because of the way that the head is shaped, which I just think is kind of interesting that you could see Super Buu's line that clearly. But yeah, again, overall, sculpting looks pretty good on this guy. His face is definitely, like, too slim on the chin. Like, he's very bulky, yes, but I feel like he just has, like, a slimmer chin. Like, he looks like he's doing that one meme. Not like the Giga, like, kind of like the Giga Chad face, but, you know, people kind of, like, pucker their lips a little bit, and they do, like, that funny, like, extended jaw meme. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, something about the bottom of his head looks really, really weird. It's not the worst. It almost kind of reminds me of the shape of Demon King Piccolo's head more than it does Piccolo. Obviously not exactly the same, but it's kind of just making me think that. Nonetheless, I think that overall the figure sculpt is really good. I mean, I still think that the face is definitely passable. Very, very cool. Wait, what? I thought that he was kissing Yoshi. That's funny. Yeah, I think this guy looks pretty good. I definitely want to get this guy. I think that out of the Ichiban Kuji figures here, like, this would probably be the one that I would want to get the most, because this would kind of constitute as, like, giant Piccolo from the movie, right? And then obviously the DXF figures you could kind of consider, like, regular size Orange Piccolo. So that probably might be a cop for me. I'll have to see if I can get my hands on him for a decent price. But nonetheless, still a pretty cool looking figure. We move on now to Cell Max. Very, very cool. Honestly, this might be the figure that I want the most, funny enough, only because of the fact that I feel like he's not going to get any figures, really. So we have no, you're too big. The entire body of the wings can be, the entire body of the beast can be hidden just in the wings. I see. So basically, he is comparing the size. Ooh, that was another picture that I really wanted to see the size comparison to. Okay. So his sculpt looks fantastic. Obviously, this is sculpted by the individual who does a lot of the monster-esque characters in Dragon Ball. A lot of the, like, Uzarus, the giant form characters, stuff like that, right? It is sculpted by the same individual, and hot dog does it look good. Holy cow. I will say it is definitely stylized a little bit more in that art style rather than being particularly... Out of context, that looks really funny. Rather than particularly being, right, of the DBS superhero art style, it definitely looks a lot more like a hyper-realistic version of Cell Max, which I don't have a problem with. I think it looks really cool, but I definitely understand if it's not your thing. However, I know for a fact we're not going to be getting, like, any Cell Max figures because we haven't even gotten any, and how many Gohan Beast figures do we have announced by this point, right? Which is crazy to say, considering for a while we just had none. Yeah, I'm definitely going to cop this guy. I really, really like this figure. Yeah, very interesting that he is that big. So like this guy was saying, right, you can see that his wing covers up basically the entirety of Gohan Beast besides his hair, which is pretty wild. The sculpting, by the way, on the inside of the wing is really, really cool. Definitely looks awesome. I love the way that this is sculpted, too, on, like, the edge, because obviously Cell Max was, like, not, you know, like, basically finished, right? And not only does it kind of give that look, it kind of gives like that monster-esque look of him being kind of like a giant bug monster. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, this image right here is a good representation of him next to the orange Piccolo from the set. Funny how Piccolo's face almost looks better in this image than the other one did. Maybe it's just the angle. But nonetheless, you can see that Cell Max is a little bit taller by just a hair. Normally, I would be like, yeah, this is kind of a little bit weird. But, again, if you're sort of going with the mindset that, and I mean, I guess maybe this is just a little bit of copium on my part, but if you're kind of considering this fickle Piccolo, if you're considering this Piccolo to be the giant one, then I suppose this definitely makes sense in terms of the height. I know it's not exact scaling between the two of them, even in Piccolo's giant form, but definitely pretty close in height, I would say. And definitely pretty cool. I mean, obviously, right, if we're taking a look at this, how big he is next to Gohan Beast, of course, Gohan is not as big as Cell Max's wing, right? So, of course, my sort of justification for the scaling kind of goes out the window here. But, obviously, if you just bought these two and then put them next to some Bam Presto figures, then, you know, you understand where my brain is going here. Nonetheless, pretty cool to see these guys next to each other. It is interesting that they are both, like, that big. I don't know if that means that Cell Max is too small or if Piccolo is really big. Maybe both. But it'll be interesting to see these guys in person because I definitely want to get these. Superhero is one of these, like, properties, I guess, of Dragon Ball that I'm really willing to just kind of go all in on for figures. So I definitely am excited to get that. And Cell Max's expression does look pretty good. I mean, it's nothing crazy to write home about, but he definitely does look like a giant hulking monster. So that's cool. Definitely very, very sick for sure. Some more images in person of the Gohan Beast that was on display at the Tamashii Nation event. Yeah, definitely like this person says here, right? The hair I feel like should be more gray rather than silver here. But nonetheless, again, I think the figure looks pretty good. The detailing on the base looks really good. I think his face looks pretty nice, right? The hair definitely looks really, really good. Overall, very, very nice look at the figure. I can open this tab and we'll scroll up a little bit as this loads because this always takes a fat minute to load, unfortunately. This was the other thing that I wanted to note before we go take a look at more pictures of Gohan there. Probably for the matchmakers Buuhan and Vegito, we most likely won't get this pose because obviously we already have it in the BOS Super Vegito, which I actually have this figure, I've just never opened it. So probably they won't redo the kick. That would be kind of silly, to be honest with you, because, of course, you know, why would they make the same figure again, although Bandai has done less before? And not to mention, it would be kind of weird if this was the Buuhan figure with my man literally just getting kicked in the schnoz, you know? That would be kind of weird to have that as the independent figure because the whole point of the Matchmakers line is that you can have them be separate figures or together, right? So that would be kind of weird if that was Buuhan and not just him like punching or kicking or something like that. Yeah, very interesting that Baggy does note this because this is a good point. Depending on the pose and scale for Buuhan, and if Vegito isn't that good in this set, you can maybe replace him for this figure. So that would be interesting to see a comparison between those two. Maybe I'll have to open this guy and then when the Matchmakers one comes out, do a video on that. But yeah, some more images of the boy Gohan. Very, very good looking figure. I think this will probably be the last time that I take a very in-depth look at him because obviously, whoa, those hair spikes look crazy from that angle. Obviously, we've taken a look at this guy so many times already, right, in terms of all these different, you know, angles and, you know, close-ups and stuff like that, right? I think probably the next time we take a look at this guy in detail will probably be when he actually releases and somebody has it in their hands. Because obviously, you know, by that point, you know, we'll probably know if he's worth the money or not, which I would say already he probably is. Quick note about Orange Piccolo. I was talking about this a little bit earlier in the video of the market value of these figures. Piccolo seems to be around the 6K range, which is basically like 60 bucks for this figure. Probably settling around the 5K mark after we obviously get, you know, a little bit more into the release, because of course this guy did just come out, so it makes sense that of course, you know, he would be a little bit more expensive. And somebody that definitely would ship it without the box would be a good way to go if you are trying to get this guy a little bit cheaper, because obviously that could save you a little bit of money, a little bit of money. And then obviously the box won't be so big, so of course in that vein it would not be as heavy. So definitely, if you can and you are planning on importing this guy, that would definitely be a good move. However, Buu is apparently going for around 20K, which is crazy. That is about 200 buckaroonies here in the US, give or take a little bit. Obviously, the conversion rate is not exact. But wow, that is pretty crazy that Super Buu is that big. That just goes to show you, well, big in terms of price. You know, that should just go to show you how wild it is that, you know, Dragon Ball Z stuff is still absolutely crushing it, and people are still very, very interested in figures of it. Super cool to see, to be honest with you. I will say, definitely, I would think it's still worth it to import this guy. I was thinking about copying this guy maybe just from like the overseas price, but he is still $85, right? I'm looking at Big Bad Toy Store right here. You can see that he is that price point, which is pretty ridiculous, considering the fact that in Japan you can get him for like 50 bucks. So definitely the import route might be the way to go for this guy. I mean, if you just want him, you know, then maybe you could rip the Band-Aid, but I would just recommend probably going the import route, since that seems to be the price that he's going for, around 60 to 50. All right, so this is what I was talking about earlier in the video. High quality production images of the DX DBZ Draw Cap Goku with all of his different forms here. This is pretty cool, to say the least. And I do quite like the design of this figure, right? All these different little figures kind of connected to make a little bit of almost like a diorama, sort of Goku, right? And all of his different forms. The boy Super Saiyan 3 represented my GOAT form. A1 since day one. Very, very cool. But I will say, the very unfortunate thing about this is the Draw Cap line is usually a pretty small figure line. I was thinking maybe like, you know, because this is a DX figure, it would be a little bit bigger. But as you can see, apparently this is only 13 centimeters. 13 centimeters. If this thing was a lot bigger, that would be really cool. And not to mention, they are charging you around excuse me, literally my figure demons are escaping because of this price. $80 for a figure that small? That's ridiculous. And not to mention, the Draw Cap line in recent time has just been so bad. Unfortunately, these figures usually turn out looking pretty ugly. And I mean, base Goku and Kid Goku look pretty good, but I will say Super Saiyan Goku definitely is looking a little bit odd in the face department already. Super Saiyan 3, maybe it's just me coping because I love Super Saiyan 3. I think he looks alright. It's definitely not the best Super Saiyan 3 that I've ever seen, but it still looks okay. This angle definitely looks a little bit weird though. But yeah, for that price and that size, this one's going to be a skip for me, dog. It's really unfortunate because it looks so cool, and it looks like a lot of people were excited about this considering it has 1,000 likes. But yeah, very unfortunate that it's such a small figure. We do have, by the way, trying to escape Twitter's hold on me. There we go. We actually have something right before the new Ichiban Kuji that we're about to get to. May store numbers, DXF Beast 817. Let's go, Gohan, my goat! We got the Matchmakers Goku and Frieza both at 4. Wait, what? Frieza got one more, 455 and 456 respectively. Interesting. And Solid Edward's Trunks, 375 as well. Marin, by the way, absolutely crushing with 846. Yeah, DXF, Gohan Beast, highest Dragon Ball order this year, but still couldn't hit 1K. But yeah, that's so funny that Marin got more than Gohan. But nonetheless, still very cool. Obviously, the fact that we have not really gotten, you know, very high store order numbers in terms of, you know, the stores in Japan that are ordering these figures in a while, right? It's still very cool to see that, you know, the boy Gohan can absolutely kick it with the best of them. So you love to see it. Very, very cool. Love Gohan Beast Dragon. Okay. So, going past all that Xenoverse 2 stuff, we arrive here at the September Ichiban Kuji. This was the one that we talked about in the beginning of the video that we didn't know what it was. And apparently it's not actually Dragon Ball. I didn't realize that actually this one, because I had seen these images earlier, was the same one that Baggy was talking about earlier, so I apologize for that one. But we have the Dragon Ball Z Buu Saga Ichiban Kuji. Yes, it seems that the year of Dragon Ball Z continues in terms of these figures. So for the prize A, we have the Great Saiyaman Gohan, obviously in his Super Saiyan form. I guess maybe you would consider this the Golden Warrior then. But besides him, we also have Dabura, which is pretty cool. Obviously, Dabura does not get, like, any representation in figure form, so that's pretty neat to see a Dabura figure. And then for the prize C and D, as well as the last one version, we have Kid Buu, right, with his hands out, obviously trying to push back the blast, I believe is what this is, or he's blasting. No, this is the STR one when he launches the Ki Blast forward. I can't believe that's how I remember that scene. Anyway, we also have Bye Guys Goku. I'm going to give all my thoughts on these in a second, by the way, which is pretty cool that obviously getting a figure of that. And we do have the last one prize being a Masterlize Evolving Gohan, being the traditional Great Saiyaman outfit, one with the glasses and the bandana, and the other one with the helmet on. So, I will say, right, here's some other pictures of these two. Obviously, they have these pretty cool little, like, clashing images, I guess, is what you would call them. Like, oh, the characters are duking it out, you know. Apparently, it's also sculpted by Nakagawa, according to JQ. I was going to say, it kind of does, I feel like it's not Nakazawa. A different figure sculptor, if you're unfamiliar. However, I will say, I'm honestly not really feeling this set. It's not that this isn't exciting, because these are figures that we don't really get a lot of, you know, like, representation of this saga and these characters, right? But I feel like the sculpt isn't the craziest on these. I'm going to wait to see a front-facing one for Gohan for this particular Gohan, because I don't think he looks too bad. But I will say his bang looks a little too long. I feel like it should not be down to his mouth. That's a little bit strange to me, to be honest with you. And I don't know, something about the way that his hair is sculpted looks a little bit weird to me. But the body looks fine, I would say, overall. Nothing too weird. I will say the knees definitely look a bit weird. And the feet are also very small, but yeah, definitely, like, not too bad, right? It's just not super exciting to me. I will say Dabura does look very good. I feel like his head is a little bit too small, to be honest with you, but other than that, I think overall he looks pretty good. I like the cape that they actually included the jagged edges on it, because that is present on his design. We also, like, never get Dabura figures, so it's cool to just get one at all. I do wonder if going by our Ichiban Kuji to prize figure logic, that this guy will end up getting a prize figure eventually, because he's now getting an Ichiban Kuji figure. So maybe if you love Dabura, or you just want him for your collection, because personally I would love one of each Dragon Ball Z character, and, you know, Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball by proxy, you know, for my collection, maybe wait a little bit before you cop Dabura. Just to see if they end up coming out with a prize figure version of him. But this guy does look pretty good. I will say, I think he may be the best sculpted out of the bunch. Maybe except for the last one, prize version of Gohan, in my opinion anyway. Piccolo. Holy cow, bro. Piccolo's not pink. Sorry, I think I got orange Piccolo on the mind. Kid Buu. I think that the previous Ichiban Kuji Kid Buu looks better than this guy personally. I don't know how I feel about the expression. I feel like it is Kid Buu-esque, very crazed. But his body proportions are so weird. Like, I know his pants are baggy, but this looks like a boomerang. And his pants kind of looked like this on the previous Kid Buu Ichiban Kuji figure, but I feel like it wasn't as much to this degree, where it quite literally looks like you could chuck my man and he would fly right back to you. I also feel like the top half of his body isn't really proportional to his legs, and it also looks a little bit too small, and then by proxy his head looks too big. If we look at this from the side, right, like, I really feel like that, like, look how scrawny he looks. Like, I know Kid Buu is small, but he's still pretty buff, right? This definitely feels very weird in the proportion department, especially looking at it from this angle. Kid Buu's head looks way too big for his body there. And if we move down to Bye Guys Goku, I think he looks okay. I don't think it captures the expression as well as it could, to be honest with you. The figure sculpt, again, definitely looks fine. I mean, it is your basic Goku figure. Though, again, I will say his body almost looks too small for his arms. Like, am I wrong on that? I feel like the top half of his body looks way too small for how big his biceps are. I don't know. Just looks a little bit weird to me. I will say I do quite like the Super Saiyan hair sculpt on this. And something about the face. His face almost looks too big for, like, the face area that he has to work with, like his head. I don't know. Kind of interesting. But nonetheless, Gohan himself here, again, kind of the small feet, same thing with the legs. I'm sure that this body is just the same body as this one, right? If we go side to side, you can see that it is literally the same sculpt down to this little motion here of the fabric, but obviously they attach the cape to him, and then of course they give you the two different heads, which I will say I do think this is probably the best looking figure, if I had to say. I like the detail on the cape, and the helmet looks very, very nice, right? I think there is definitely something a little bit weird about his face, like maybe it's just the shading on the glasses, or I guess the shadows would be more accurate. Something about the shadows kind of makes it look a little bit weird, like his glasses are lopsided or something like that, or like crooked, or this like lens is kind of drooping a little bit. And I will say his chin almost looks a little bit too sharp, but nonetheless, I still think overall it looks pretty good. His head also looks huge comparatively. I just realized, holy cow, his cranium is ginormous. My man kind of looking like Megamind, bro. Like, if you replace this with skin texture, his head would look huge. But nonetheless, still pretty cool. I know if I got this figure, I would probably keep this head on anyway with the helmet, because obviously, you know, it's just a cool look for Gohan. But nonetheless, I don't know. I'm not crazy hyped about this Ichiban Kuji. Definitely let me know what you think in the comment section below. I would be curious to hear what you guys have to think, right? I think if anything, like I said, if I was going to get stuff from this, I'd probably get Dabura and the last one prize Gohan. But we'll see. I definitely am curious to see when more production images come out of these guys, because obviously we'll get more angles, and not to mention when the in-person pictures come. It's kind of weird that I feel like throughout this entire thing there's a lot of proportion issues, so I'm wondering if that's just the sculptor's work. But yeah, definitely let me know in the comments below what you think of that one. Also, something very interesting to note here, no DBS or DBS Broly figures in 14 months and counting. For DBS Broly's 5th anniversary, they're releasing a DBZ Broly figure. Wait, the DBS Broly's already 5 years old. Holy cow, I'm old. That's crazy. Oh yeah, so then that also means that the DBZ Broly figure that we were talking about earlier, that is the Blood of Saiyans one, I believe, should be a DBZ Broly. All Dragon Ball marketing in Japan this year has been Dragon Ball/C. This is what happens when you have a series in DBS built solely on the foundation of fan service and hype. Yeah, you go back to the basics, baby. Yeah, a lot of stuff has been promoting Dragon Ball Z recently. Now, like I explained before, they absorbed DBS Broly into the DBS brand, but for Super Hero, they separated it out. So for all intents and purposes, Super Hero is being treated as a separate brand of DBS, as you can see by the Kuji logos. Yeah, you can see right there, right? Obviously, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and Super Hero, with Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super Hero, and Dragon Ball. It's kind of interesting because beforehand, they kind of separated these by Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Super Broly, but I guess just as time went on, they just kind of decided to absorb it into the Dragon Ball Super brand. I wonder if the same thing will happen to Super Hero eventually, where they just kind of put it under the Dragon Ball Super moniker, but only time will tell in that regard. So that'll be interesting to see for sure. So ironically enough, with me talking about Kid Buu and his boomerang pants, I guess they are exactly the same. According to Baggy, and taking a look at this, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that they just reused the bottom half of the previous Kid Buu. I don't know why I felt like on the original one they weren't as boomerang shaped, I guess is the word that I'll use. But yeah, you can tell that these are clearly the same bottom half. Obviously, the top halves are definitely a little bit different, right? Kid Buu's body is slightly built different, right? I mean, obviously it makes sense because his arms are very different. It might be the same head tentacle that he has on the top of his head and maybe the same little bulbs on the side. In fact, it definitely kind of looks like that. Maybe even the same... It might be the same head, to be honest with you. I can't really tell. It might be. It might just be that they turned it and then changed his eyes a little bit. Maybe that's why it looks so weird. I don't know. But nonetheless, yeah, you can tell that for sure, at least with the pants, because I think the body, like, the sculpting on the body looks a little bit different. That they definitely just reused the boy, yeah. At least, though, Baggy makes a definitely good point that for Kid Buu figures, if you are definitely looking at a Kid Buu figure for your collection, the GX material one is the way to go. It's not only way cheaper, but obviously it just looks better. Interestingly enough, this guy says, which Buu do you prefer? I like how iconic the pose is of the first masterized piece, but I like the face on the new one better. Apparently Baggy actually agrees, which is interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I think I like this Kid Buu better personally. Like, I like this iconic pose. I don't know. I think he feels like more menacing. Something about this figure is just off-putting to me personally. But again, let me know in the comment section what you think of the boy Kid Buu. By the way, we do have some in-person pictures of the Matchmakers Frieza and Goku. They do look pretty good, I would say. Definitely pretty decent. Nothing too crazy to complain about. They are pretty basic figures, to be honest with you, but definitely not too bad. The only thing I think I would complain about here, and again, this also may be because, excuse me, the person who set these guys up at the particular, you know, location where this is being taken a picture of, because this is at like some arcade, right, that you can go in and then play and win these figures. Frieza looks like he's looking up, and Goku looks like he's looking at Frieza's like leg, which I mean, I guess that makes sense considering that's kind of where he's getting kicked here, but Frieza's eyes are like not on Goku, so I don't know if this person just set up the figure wrong, or if the figure just looks like that and Frieza's not actually looking at Goku, which is kind of weird. I don't know. Because Frieza looks fine on his own here, like he looks like he's just looking forward, but it kind of looks like he's looking up. Maybe it's just because this eye kind of has the angle cocked up, I'm not really sure. By the way, some in-person images of the DXF Gohan Beast. I will say, looking at this guy in the final version, by golly, does he look good. I know I kind of felt like something about the face on him was off before, and maybe it still is a tiny bit, but I think looking at him in person, I do really like how this figure turned out, and I'm definitely pretty excited to get this guy and place him next to the DXF Ultimate Gohan. I definitely like the little angled look that as well they kind of gave his eyes. Definitely pretty cool. Yeah, overall, again, this is a very like cheap figure because the DXF line in recent times has kind of gone down that trail, but I think it still looks pretty good overall. And this is definitely a nice sized desk figure if you're looking for a Gohan Beast, because these figures are not really that big. So definitely pretty cool. I think he turned out pretty good, to be honest with you. We have another look at the upcoming June Ichiban Kuji LO Kid Goku, the last one prize. This is a pretty cool looking Kid Goku. Obviously in the classic Dragon Ball outfit, of course, the blue gi before he gets the orange one. There is only a couple of other figures, I believe, of this outfit if memory serves. So obviously getting this version would be awesome because, of course, you know, it is the very, very cool blue version of the gi that he doesn't have for too long in the series, but obviously it is very OG Dragon Ball. Still very cool. I really, really like it. I would love to get this one and the regular version for sure. I've been wanting to get the other Nimbus. There's like a Kid Goku that's flying on Nimbus figure that I have that I got the orange gi, and I kind of regret getting it because I could have got the blue gi at the same time, but I didn't. So I don't know, maybe I will get this one, but definitely a very, very good looking figure. I love how like adorable Kid Goku looks here. So great. We also have the small prizes for these guys. Very, very interesting that they decided to do like a mask but I can't really tell if this is like an actual mask. It kind of looks more like something you'd hang up on your wall, because obviously like these aren't like eye holes, and it's also not very mask shaped. Like it's kind of flat. Like I guess it's shaped like a cheaper kind of mask, but it doesn't look like something that would like fit on your face. You know, your face would be kind of smushed against this if you just had like a little cord on the back of it. But obviously Grandpa Gohan's mask. We also have these little clear acrylic stands of stuff from Dragon Ball. Definitely some pretty good scene choices and some pretty cool pieces of art. Bro, having the Krillin one would actually be so funny. I love that smug Krillin expression. I believe that's when he first introduces himself to Goku, when he arrives on Master Roshi's island. That's pretty cool. Definitely like that one a lot. And then we also have the little towels and basically washcloths there, right? I will say, maybe it is my Dragon Ball bias here. Oh, apparently, actually, these are visual boards instead of the washcloth stuff this time. I'm wondering if that's the case, because usually these are just like small towels, and I just kind of call them washcloths because that's more so like the size of them. But that would be cool if they're actually art boards. Maybe they are, because... No, I think they might be washcloths, actually, because if you look at the towels, right, you can see the edges of them are kind of curved, and you can see the fabric material on them. And if you look on these, you can see the edges of these are kind of like wavy like that. If these were actually artboards, then they might actually, or not might actually, they would actually just be like straight on the edge. So pretty cool little ones here, though. Obviously, a bunch of Dragon Ball stuff. The OG Shinron icon. You have Mai and Shu here, which is pretty cool. You have Pilaf blowing a kiss. I love this one with Grandpa Gohan. That one is awesome. And these ones are just really cool, like tapestries you can hang up. Obviously, Grandpa Gohan's mask. You have this 1, 2, 3 Dragon Ball one with Goku, Bulma, and Oolong, which is pretty cool. Is this another World Tournament one? I swear they've reused this one like a million times. Maybe this is just more of a Dragon Ball-esque one. And then, of course, you have Goku and Krillin chasing Roshi with the milk, which is pretty cool. Definitely very, very nice. I love the Grandpa Gohan one for this one, and these are just very cute Dragon Ball-wise. I like the color scheme on these, too. Like, very simplistic. Very cool. Definitely some very nice small prizes. It would also be cool to get Grandpa Gohan's mask to, like, hang up on the wall. That would definitely be pretty cool, too. We have another Dragon Ball mug. I swear we've talked about so many mugs on this series before. From Store, we have Majin Vegeta versus Goku. I'm sure this art is from somewhere else. Kind of interesting. It's quite literally just this on a mug. I mean, if you're interested in it, that's pretty cool. It's nice that they have all these different languages on the side here. That's pretty neat. Oh, and I just noticed there's little Shinrons with the Dragon Balls there. That is pretty cool. And apparently, Hydroponic, I guess, is the name of this brand. I've never heard of that before. But apparently they're doing a Dragon Ball Z collab. I swear I've seen this pattern before somewhere, probably on a backpack. But as you can see, there's a bunch of different Dragon Ball related items in terms of clothing and stuff like that that you could get. Very, very cool. This one looks awesome. Is this Piccolo on there? Oh, Piccolo, Vegeta. Okay, so it's just a bunch of the Z Fighters. That's cool. Yeah, definitely a lot more fashion-esque. Oh my gosh, is that swim trunks with little Nimbuses on it? That's awesome. Yeah, these are pretty cool. These style of caps, I know these style of caps are very popular right now too. Very cool stuff. I will say, I do agree with Baggy. It is definitely very, like, again, very fashion-esque sort of stuff, right? For sure with this type of thing. Like, it's, I think, a lot less of, like, a shirt that you would just buy and more, like, supposed to be kind of high-end fashion. I do like this Goku render, though. Can we see that again? That's pretty cool. Oh, but it has the brand there. I see. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that personally when, like, the merch has the name of the brand, because I'd rather it just, like, be the thing that they're collabing with. Because I'm not as big on brands as some other people, but still pretty cool. I just realized, is that Johnny? Joestar, I think? I don't know. Maybe that is somebody else, but that definitely looks like a JoJo character. Anyway, this is also the other t-shirt that they have from this collab, which is pretty cool. I definitely like this little cut-in thing. Again, this is definitely very fashion-esque. Like, this is not just a regular t-shirt that you would wear. It's a little silly, like, in the design, but again, it's supposed to be fashion, right? That's kind of the point why it's designed like this. So the last main thing that we have here to take a look at before we hop off for today is a pretty big sort of casting of what we have to look forward to for these coming weeks. We are probably going to get more info on the upcoming Ichiban Kuji set, the ratios and all of that good stuff, right? How many figures per store we will be getting. Maybe we'll get some more images of these guys, all that good stuff. We will see when that time comes what more information we will get. And when it comes to Vegito and Buuhan, October overseas block production images should start, I don't know why I said that like a Texan, should start dropping by the end of the week. So yeah, we should probably see this type of stuff coming soon. It will be very interesting to see what these guys are. I'm really curious to see what pose they pick for these two for sure. But really, besides that, that is basically everything. So in the next videos, we will definitely be covering this stuff for sure. Because the only other thing really that Baggy tweeted today about Dragon Ball that's left is just a wow, Dragon Ball calendar for 2024. Pretty cool. And a bunch of art that we have definitely seen before. And a Z calendar. The year of Z continues, bro. We can't escape it. Dragon Ball Super doesn't exist anymore. Anyhow, that is going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely let me know what you think of the upcoming Dragon Ball figures that we have in the pipeline. I am very curious to hear what you guys have to think of everything, including the upcoming Ichiban Kuji set. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this one, because I don't know, I'm usually when I see these Ichiban Kujis, I'm usually like, yes, this is going to be really cool, even though they're still expensive. The figures will look really nice. But I'm not really feeling this one, to be honest. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I will catch you in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And Dokkan Assets out. Peace.